In a world of music, rhythm, and underwater beauty, one man wears many hats. Meet Niranjan Fernando, a man whose life is as colorful and diverse as the exotic creatures he cares for. He's a musician, a singer, a drummer, a professional DJ who keeps the party rocking all night long, and a motor car lover. But there's another side to Niranjan, a side that takes him beneath the surface. An experienced scuba diving instructor, it's in the deep blue that Niranjan found his true love, exotic fish. Niranjan's collection is a celebration of the wonders of the aquatic world. Today, we venture into Niranjan's world, where the vibrant underwater life fills his home in the heart of Mulgrave here in Melbourne. His collection of exotic fish tells us a story of passion, dedication, and a lifelong love for the ocean.
That's Jumper. I've had him, he's now going on 18, he's 18 years old. And we call him Jumper because you can't get them in Melbourne, in Victoria. So we had to go this place in Sydney that was selling them. And he was about an inch in size. So I ended up driving to Sydney and we went and there was this tank with three giant Gourami. Sorry, there were a few giant Gouramis, and I wanted three, one for myself and two for two friends of ours. So we were trying to catch him, and we picked him. So the store guy asked us which one do you want. So I said I want that guy. So we picked him, and and the tank was quite high. So he put a net and tried to get him out, and he jumped out onto the floor. So the shop guy picked him up quickly, put him in the net, put him back into the tank. And I said, let's try and get him again. So try to catch him second time, he jumped again. So then this guy said, okay, look, he's jumped out of the tank three times now, and I don't think I should give him to you or get something else. I said, no, I want him. He's coming over with us. So we ended up naming him Jumper. We brought him with two others. And then it didn't end there. So we brought him here and drove all the way to Melbourne non-stop. And in those days, 18 years back or 17 years back maybe, you could, speeding and all wasn't too much of an issue. So we were like speeding non-stop because there was no proper oxygen tanks and pumps and stuff like that. So we just put him in a plastic bag, pumped air into it, pure oxygen into it, and just drove non-stop. 8.5 hours we were in Melbourne, and we had these three giant gouramis. So we put them in a tank temporary to get them acclimatized. And then next morning, the other two guys had attacked him, and he was almost dead. So I thought, oh my God, here we go again. And if you look on the side here, you see his scales are still not 100% because it changed shape. And so we ended up putting medication, healing him, and the other two guys went off to different homes. I don't know where they are now, but yeah, so he ended up, he's my pet, oldest fish I've got, and he's more like a little puppy dog than a fish really. So that's Jumper's story. Giant gouramis, they're pretty much vegetarian. They never eat any fish or anything like that. So all they eat in the wild is any vegetation. That's what they live on. So he loves his food, and I give him a variety of. I try to mix it up. So he has fruit one day, he has vegetables the other day. He has a lot of cucumber. He loves his grapes and blackberries, and yes, that's what he eats. And they're known to live. I mean, I knew a guy in Blackburn who had a giant gourami who was like 28 years old. So I'm hoping Jumper is with us for a long time. But the best you can do is, give them quality of life, good water, and you can't keep him in any other tank. That's the reason I had to buy this tank for him, because it was a matter of either getting rid of him or getting another tank, because he one fine day decided he didn't want any other fish with him. So he's very aggressive, But yeah, so now we have his own home, and that's it.
In his home, Niranjan has created three stunning aquariums, each one carefully curated to showcase a variety of fish species, each with its own unique story and character.
This one's an 8 foot tank, and it's got what's called a sump tank filtration system, which is basically another like a fish tank at the bottom, but it's got all its biomedia and stuff like that. So fish here, they're all exotic fish. So that's from the Amazon. That's called the red belly pacu, and they grow very big in the wild as well. And that one's a peacock bass azul. So they're known as azul because they've got azul is blue. So the fins, if you notice, the fins are all blue and they're very exotic. Peacock bass azul, and they come from various places. They're mainly American, and you get the dacnoid there, the striped one. So the dacnoid is from Indonesia and that part of the world, Southeast Asian countries, and the blue hook emperors. So these are like a silver dollar, but the same family, but they also belong to the piranha family. Okay, you see the similarities, and they grow bigger than that, but they are meat eaters as well. So they eat fish and stuff like that. And yeah, so that's what's in this tank.
From vibrant tropical fish to rare and exotic species, Niranjan's aquariums are a living canvas. These underwater ecosystems not only mesmerize the viewers but also provide a glimpse into the complexity and beauty of aquatic life.
And here again, these are called the spotted alligator guards. So they are prehistoric fish. They date back to the dinosaur era. And in the wild, they can grow up to, like 2 or 3 meters, huge in the wild. But here, obviously, they're domesticated and they're bred in tanks and stuff. So even in this tank, they are very slow growing, but they go to about a meter. They can easily get to about a meter, and they've got the head of an alligator basically. That's why they call them alligator guard. This is the spotted guard. So the spotted guy is a smaller variety of the alligator guy. So the alligator guy is really big. I mean, those guys can outgrow a tank. So they're huge. And then that's not same as in the other tank. And I have them in two separate tanks because they're two males and they don't get on. So it's very hard to keep them together. They are very interesting fish. And then those three guys there are the blue hook emperors that you saw in the 8 foot tank. So those are babies here. They're still young. So they'll grow up to be quite big as well. But they're all the piranha. They all belong to the piranha family, including the red belly tattoo in that tank.
Niranjan's aquariums are a blend of art and science, where each fish is carefully selected for its beauty, temperament, and compatibility with others. His passion for the aquatic world goes beyond just keeping fish. It's about understanding them, ensuring they thrive, and maintaining the delicate balance of their environment.
So that is filtration system. So that's where all the biomedia is. So the water goes through there, and it's got the beneficial bacteria that build up there and here. And then it goes into all these different stages, and then from there it comes out again. So you've still got, even though you have all this, because this is to build the beneficial bacteria which they need. And in spite of all this, you still got to change the water once. Once a week or once in 2 weeks, but you never ever change all the water. So you only change like 10 or 20%, so maximum, about that much, just to get rid of the high nitrates, get the nitrogen cycle. So just to get rid of the high nitrates, you drop the water a bit, get rid of it, and that neutralizes it and keeps the ammonia at bay. So you can't have any ammonia build up in the tank because that will kill the fish. So and they get diseased. So if we look at his fins, all they're pretty clean and nice because there's no the ammonia is under control and so is the nitrates. So it's basically a science. You got to keep up with it. And I've been doing it for so long, So it comes naturally. I don't have to really test the water and stuff. I know by looking at him, I know what the water is like. Same with the other tanks. Yeah.
For Niranjan, it's not just about the fish, it's about creating a space where both the creatures and himself can coexist in harmony, where his love for music and the ocean can flow together in perfect rhythm. From the stage to the sea, Niranjan has found a way to blend his many passions: music, diving, and the world of exotic fish. In every note he plays, in every dive he takes, he carries with him the beauty of the underwater world.
It's basically see, my daughter is a vet because we are animal lovers, right? And I don't know if I told you or I'm a diving instructor, scuba dive instructor, and I do that purely because I want to be in the environment, and there's no better way than being with them to enjoy that. It's a very peaceful place to be in when you're underwater with them. Of course, I haven't done any river dives or freshwater. These are all freshwater. These are all tropical water. I haven't done any river dives. All my diving has been only in the oceans. But it's still, nonetheless, it's still another living creature, which not a lot of people get to experience. And people say it's very dangerous to be with sharks and all that. Yeah, it is. There is a danger, but you're in the environment after all. But yeah, the passion started when I was very very young. I mean, it's something that I've always liked, and it's always been in us, and that's probably how my daughter took after me, probably. But in general, we are all like that, and we just appreciate. We're all God's creatures, and we've got to appreciate it, and enjoy them, and give them the all you can do is it's not if you want to start a hobby, it's nothing worse than having it in a bad environment, bad way, and you kill the fish. So you got to learn, study it properly, and know what you're doing to to be able to look after them. And that says, you can see in 18 years he's been, touch wood, but that says something. If you look after them, and you got to know how to treat them. They do get sick, and there are medications you can buy and stuff, but I hardly have ever used any medication, and the only thing I do use is sea salt. Just just some salt, rock salt, and it's an antibiotic sort of thing, and put some rock salt in and treat the water. He's trying to get my hand now.
From one tank to the next, the question arises: how many exotic fishes does Niranjan actually have? Each tank tells its own story, but the answer? Well, that's as varied as the vibrant creatures that call these waters home.
Oh, now you got me counting 3, 4, 5, 6, 12, I think 11, 12, somewhere around there. I mean, I do lose fish from time to time. You do lose them. You can't. But I mean, they do have a lifespan. Not all of them are the same. These guys generally the the exotic fish, so to speak. They're not called exotic. They're called exotic because they're hard to get, pretty much, right? And they're hard to look after. And those guys generally tend to give you a longer life. Now, in saying that, you get goldfish. I've seen goldfish that live for 8 to 10 years. It depends on how you look after them. And having them in a fish bowl, a lot of people have a goldfish in a fish bowl, is probably the worst thing you can do. It's not really good because there's no nitrogen cycle build up there. It's very, very small. There's not enough water in there. So people just dump out all the water and put new fresh water. That's not really the way to go. But and that's why those fish don't live long. So if you have it in a proper tank with a proper filtration system, the proper nitrogen cycle, it works out much better. But I've got plans for few other. Which I've been looking for, like stingrays and PNTs. PNT stands for pig nose turtle. Very 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 exotic, very rare. And the lungfish. So you got to have permits to have them, and it's not a question of having permits. You got to find them. So they are native to northern Australia, but it's very 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 hard to get. And that's if I can get my hands on a PNT, or a lungfish. Lungfish, I know you can put your name down and you get a permit and you get in the permit. You can get a lungfish, the Australian native lungfish, and the stingray. So with stingray, the thing is there again. I've got I've got three big tanks, but not enough when stingray grows. So that's the same question. If you can't give them a good quality life, don't do it. So I'd love to have a black diamond stingray, but the thing is, I can have a black diamond stingray probably in this tank because it's wide. It's 2 feet wide, 2.5 feet. So I still can have one, but with him I can't. So I'll have to wait. Or Nita won't let me get another tank. So I'd love to have a black diamond stingray and the PNT. That's on my list. So those three, the lungfish, PNT, and the black diamond stingrays. Those on my list. There are a lot more other exotic fish. I mean, arapamas. You get beautiful, exotic fish, but they're too big, too hard to keep. Not too hard to keep, but you got to have big tanks. So if not, you just kill the fish. You spend thousands and thousands. These fish are not cheap. I mean, they are they are they're some of them going to thousands. There are very few in the hundreds. They're going to thousands. So if you want to throw your money away, it's one thing. But the thing is, no matter how much money you have to spend on buying the exotic fish, if you can't look after them, why do you want to kill them? So it ends up, it comes down to that basically.
While it is obvious that this is an expensive hobby, for Niranjan, money doesn't matter when it comes to these exotic fish. For him, it's not about the price tag, it's about the passion, the beauty, and the peace these creatures bring into his world.
Ooh, look, that varies a lot, right? I mean, it depends on how much. It's I spent a lot of money on these fish. They're not cheap. So even the peacock bass in the 8 foot tank, for example, I yeah, as a little juvenile, I paid $800 for him, and the others can be like giant gouramis. They're well in excess of. You can still find them, but they're well in excess of 2 grand. 1.5, 2 grand, depending on the quality, the quality, how good the fish is. Like you get another variety called the red-tailed giant gourami, where the tail is red. So those guys can go up to 2 grand easily. I mean even more than that. And I remember once, because I'm in these different fish groups, and one guy offered me $2,000 for jumper, but money doesn't matter to me when it comes to pets. I've never sold a fish. The only time I ever sold a fish was my red-tailed catfish. I had a red-tailed catfish, and he outgrew the tank, and I had to sell him. And it was not a question of selling him, not to get any money back, but I found I needed a home for him. I had to get rid of him. And if not, I would have killed the fish. He would have outgrown the tank, and he was killing my other fish. So uh, they're not cheap. They're all It's an expensive hobby, no doubt. It's a very expensive hobby. Your water bills, your your it's not cheap to have a good exotic fish aquarium. Definitely. But yeah, so price is what you pay for the fish. Like a black diamond stingray, for example, just to give you an example, but they're all in the thousands. The 1,005, 2,000, maybe even more, just to buy a small guy. The P&T big nose turtle. There was one available, but they were not willing to ship it down from Northern Territories, and they wanted $2,500 for a big nose turtle that was 4 inches in size. So those are the prices. So they're not cheap by any means.
For someone with a life filled with music, scuba diving, and a love for motor cars, one might wonder, how does Niranjan find the time to give attention to his exotic fish and other pets at home? It's a balancing act where passion for life in all its form takes center stage, and the care of these creatures is just another part of the rhythm that keeps him grounded.
Yeah, look, it is time consuming, and you've got to if you I've done it for so long. And basically, it boils down to, if you want to have a hobby and you want to do it right, you've got to find the time. If you can't have the time, and you don't have enough time to spend, then don't do it. Simple as that. So and I always, when I see someone, they have a fish tank for the sake of having a fish tank, and they don't look after the fish. I don't say anything. It's not my duty to say anything, but that's not really the right thing to do. I mean, they're all living creatures, and just because they're a fish and they can't talk doesn't mean that we don't know what they feel. You know what I mean? So you got to give them the best life. It's like not only fish, any animal for that matter. You have like they say, the puppy is not for Christmas, or a kitten is not for Christmas. It's another life you have to look after. So I've got a few pets in our family. We've got a few pets. We've got two cats in the house. We had two dogs. The dogs died of old age. The cats are still with us, thank God. But my daughter's got dogs and cats. And we've got a few pets around. But if you don't have the time, just don't adopt them. I mean, because let someone else do it. So I tend to find the time to do it. I've got to find. I mean, even if I'm sick and I've got it on my calendar when the water change is due and all that, whatever the thing is, I stop what I'm doing. I have to look after them, because they can't tell me they're sick, and they can't tell me they're feeling bad, or they can't tell me the water is not good. You know what I mean? So I've got to do it myself. I mean, it's one of those things. Either you do it or you don't. And in my case, I dedicate, because I've chosen to have them. I dedicate my time and find the time to do it. Pretty much.
Today, we've had a glimpse into the life of a man who wears many hats but finds his truest peace in the underwater world he's created. This is Niranjan Fernando, a musician, a diver, a motoring enthusiast, and a lover of all things aquatic. With Sri Lankan heritage and married to a Goan, where fish on the table is just as cherished as the ones in his tank. Whether as a delicacy or a companion, it's clear that the world of fish is more than just a hobby for Niranjan. It's a way of life.